On his way to Leping, Shaanxi, Shi Lu passed by a Hu ethnic stronghold. The tribal leader, Zhang Shidu, and Feng Yamo, too, had long heard of Shi Li's reputation and greatly respected him. After a feast, Zhang Shidu and Feng Yamo, too, earnestly invited Shi Lu to join them. However, Shi Lu had already planned to seek refuge with Han King Lu Yuan, so he had made up his mind. Shi Lu stayed behind to become the third leader of the stronghold, and Zhang Shidu consulted with him on all major matters within the stronghold. Shi Lu was born clever. Moreover, since childhood, he had been managing his tribe for his father. Mixing among grassroots Hu people, he had very rich social experience. Many days later, with confidence, Shi Lu asked the tribal leaders Zhang Shidu and Feng Yamo too, "Nowadays, the world is in great chaos. On one side there is Lu Yuan, and on the other side there is the Jin dynasty. Do you think we can survive without aligning ourselves with either?" Both shook their heads. Shi Lu continued, "If we cannot stand alone, our military forces should belong somewhere. Now, people in the tribe have been recruited by Lu Yuan. They often gather together to discuss, intending to betray their leaders and join Lu Yuan. You should find a solution early." Zhang Shidu and Feng Yamo, too, were frightened by Shi Li's words and immediately agreed to submit to Lu Yuan along with him. Lu Yuan had also heard early on about Shi Li's confrontation with the renowned General Shi of the Western Jin dynasty and greatly admired him. Now, with Shi Lu bringing thousands of troops to join him, Lu Yuan was very pleased. He appointed Shi Lu as the deputy general of the Han and the king of pacifying Jin, and put Zhang Shidu, Feng Yamo too, and their subordinates under Shi Li's command. In Leping County, Shaanxi, there were also 2,000 troops of the Wuhuan tribe under Zhang Fulidu's command, stationed within a heavily guarded fortress. Despite repeated attempts, Lu Yuan could not bring him to submission. Knowing Shi Li's cleverness well, Lu Yuan consulted with him and assigned the task of recruiting Zhang Fulidu to Shi Lu. Shi Lu was delighted that Han King Lu Yuan trusted him and readily accepted the task of recruiting Zhang Fulidu. Shi Lu pretended to have committed a crime under Lu Yuan's command and sought refuge with Zhang Fulidu. Zhang Fulidu was very pleased and became blood brothers with Shi Lu. He then sent Shi Lu to lead the various Hu tribes to raid, returning victorious every time without encountering any resistance. However, when it came to distributing the spoils, Shi Lu always generously gave way to others. Consequently, the Hu soldiers all respected Shi Lu. Sensing their loyalty, Shi Lu seized the opportunity to capture Fulidu and asked the Hu soldiers, "Now that something big is happening, who is more suitable to be the leader, Fulidu or me?" The Hu soldiers all elected Shi Lu. Shi Lu then released Zhang Fulidu and led Fulidu's subordinates to submit to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's trust in Shi Lu grew even more due to his abilities and loyalty. The troops Shi Lu brought back were all under his command. Although Lu Yuan was of Xiongnu descent, in Chinese history, even compared to the Han Chinese, Lu Yuan can be considered a great figure. His cultural upbringing and personal charisma were such that even those who did not like him could not find fault. Whenever the Western Jin court faced major issues, the emperor and his important ministers always thought of Lu Yuan first. Under Lu Yuan's influence, the naturally clever Shi Lu gradually became infected and evolved into a leader with broad vision and great ambition. Under the coordination of Han King Lu Yuan, Shi Lu led his own troops along with another commander, Wang Mi, to leave the territory of Han and strike against the local armed forces of the Western Jin dynasty. They also recruited the former soldiers who had dispersed after 2 failed uprisings. Soon, Shi Li's force grew to tens of thousands. He sent the elderly and weak soldiers back home, retaining only the strong and young. Although Shi Li's army was not the main force of Lu Yuan, he still received sufficient military funds, food, and forage from Lu Yuan without the need for plundering from civilians. Wherever Shi Li's army went, they did not invade the property of the local people. As a result, the combat effectiveness of Shi Li's army greatly increased, and they were deeply welcomed by the people. The history of Jin, one of the 24 official histories of China, records, in the military, there is no plundering, the people cherish it. When Shi Li's army captured the strategically important ancient city of Yi, defended by the Western Jin army, they captured a group of Xujia soldiers who refused to surrender and resisted firmly. They were all refugees from Han ethnic minority farmers fleeing for food. In an era of brutal warfare where it was common to massacre prisoners, their fate seemed sealed. As Shi Li inspected these unfortunate captives facing imminent execution, he suddenly recognized a familiar face, a face he knew well. He immediately dismounted and approached the prisoner squatting on the ground, and indeed, it was his fellow villager Guijing. Shi Li hugged Guijing tightly, tears streaming down his face, and said, "My benefactor." Guijing, shocked, asked, "General, do you know me?" Shi Li quickly replied, "I am Shi Li, Dahu, the one who used to sell people with you." Shi Li immediately changed Guijing's clothes, appointed him as a general, and spared the lives of those captives, leaving them under Guijing's command. Shi Li, illiterate himself, recruited a large number of Han literati in his army, forming a camp of gentlemen. He had these literati tell him historical stories, devise strategies when facing challenges, and plan for the future. From this, it can be seen that although Shi Li couldn't read, he was naturally a very wise person. His extraordinary cognitive abilities enabled him to use his advantages to overcome his shortcomings in every situation. He often discussed historical stories with these literati to increase his knowledge and humbly accepted their military strategies, effectively commanding his army to victory. Among the many strategists in the camp of gentlemen, Zhang Ben served as Shi Li's chief strategist, making significant contributions to Shi Li's success. Zhang Ben was born into a bureaucratic family. His father, Zhang Yao, held the highest administrative position in the Zhongshan area. Zhang Ben was studious from a young age and read many Confucian classics and historical books. Even in his youth, Zhang Ben harbored great ambitions. He once told his brothers, "I believe my intelligence and strategies are no less than those of Zhang Liang, a prominent figure in the founding of the Western Han dynasty. I just haven't encountered a Han Gaozu, the founding emperor of the Han dynasty, yet." Back then, Shi Li was just one of the generals under the Han monarch Lu Yuan. Zhang Ben had a special talent for recognizing people's abilities with his eyes. He told his relatives, "I have seen many generals, but only General Hu." Note, Shi Li is of Hu ethnicity, hence Zhang Ben refers to him as General Hu, is capable of achieving great things. Soon after, he joined Shi Li's army as a strategist, but initially, he was not given much importance. In the year 310, Shi Li marched into the Jianghan Plain, a low-lying area in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River, intending to establish a long-term presence. Zhang Ben disagreed and suggested that Shi Li retreat northward. Shi Li did not accept Zhang Ben's advice. As a result, Shi Li's army suffered from a shortage of food and was heavily attacked by local Jin forces, resulting in significant losses. Shi Li had no choice but to adopt Zhang Ben's suggestion to retreat northward. Under Zhang Ben's planning, Shi Li continuously captured several cities on his way north, dealing a significant blow to the Jin forces. From then on, Shi Li followed all of Zhang Ben's strategies, and Zhang Ben became his top strategist. In the year 312, using a stratagem, Shi Li killed the warlord Wang Mi and merged his forces, thereby increasing his own strength significantly. Once again, he led his troops southward, preparing to attack the commercial, cultural, political, and military center of the Jiangnan region, the ancient capital city of Jianya, modern-day Nanjing. His aim was to occupy the prosperous Jiangnan region. The imperial clan of the Western Jin dynasty, led by Sima Rui, the prince of Langia, fled from the turmoil in the Central Plains region and established a fledgling separatist regime in Jiangdong. Upon hearing the news that Shi Li was preparing to march southward, they were greatly alarmed. They hastily concentrated all their main forces in the strategically important military town of Shouchun, appointing generals familiar with the local waterways to command various units, in order to defend against and resist the northern forces. At this time, the Jiangnan region was experiencing the rainy season, with heavy rainfall lasting for 3 months. Shi Li's army suffered greatly from hunger and disease, resulting in significant casualties, and the military situation became extremely urgent. Faced with a dilemma, Shirley reluctantly sought the advice of Zhang Bin once again, who opposed the southern campaign. Zhang Bin possessed the ability to predict the weather and had extensive geographical knowledge. He explained in detail to Shirley that the army was currently situated in a low-lying plain where the rainwater covered hundreds of square miles, and it was not suitable to establish a military camp there. The geographical environment around Yi City was excellent and suitable for establishing a base. Shirley accepted Zhang Bin's plan, led his troops northward, and focused on developing the northern regions. From then on, instead of engaging in guerrilla warfare, Shirley began to have a stable base of operations, paving the way for steady development.